Hello and welcome to Time About the Movies Flashback for June 20th, 1986. We only got two movies today. We have a sequel to one of the big breakout hits of 1984, The Karate Kid, and Ivan Reitman follows up Ghostbusters 2 years later with a movie that seems very odd for a follow-up, and yeah, it's definitely one of the stranger post-blockbuster movies you would expect from somebody who had just made a movie like Ghostbusters, but we'll touch on that in a little bit here. But let's get to the biggest of the new releases, and that is, of course, The Karate Kid Part 2.
He is quicker.
Rule number one, karate for defense only.
He is wiser.
Rule number two, fast and rule number one.
He is stronger. Miyagi taught him well.
Secret of Miyagi family karate.
I get it.
Practice, you will.
Can you break a log like that?
Don't know. Never been attacked by tree.
Miyagi discovered the man within the boy.
Never put passion before principle. Even if win, you lose.
Now Daniel must discover the man within himself.
In Okinawa, honor very serious.
Your sensei teach you how to fight with spear?
No more tournaments. No more cheering crowds. This time, the combat is real. Karate Kid Part 2.
So The Karate Kid Part 2 takes place after the first movie. We have Mr. Miyagi and Daniel, once again played by Pat Morita and Ralph Macchio, taking a trip to Okinawa to visit Mr. Miyagi's dying father. After arriving, Miyagi finds he still has feelings for his old love, and stirs up trouble with an old rival that he originally left Okinawa to avoid. In the meantime, Daniel encounters a new love and also makes some enemies too. So yeah, a little bit of the first movie all over again, except this time the threat is much more dangerous than, William Zabka's Johnny. Of course he's in the beginning of the film, but after that it kind of goes into predictable territory with like the first film did. But to its credit, I do really enjoy this movie a lot, and certainly this is a much better sequel than anything that came after Karate Kid, after this movie. Like, probably the best thing that came after this film in particular was the 2010 Karate Kid remake, and even Karate Kid Legends wasn't bad. It was just kind of unnecessary overall, but this is a pretty solid movie all across the board. There is still much to appreciate about this. Like, I do like how the ante is upped on everything, from the way the film is presented, because now they're going into Okinawa. You got these beautiful shots of the city and all that, but the music by Bill Conti is really good. The soundtrack, top notch. I mean, one of the great songs, Peter Cetera's "Glory of Love," man, just excellent. I mean, had it not been for Top Gun, this probably would have been one of the best songs of the year easily. But of course, Top Gun will have some great songs on that. More on that in a couple weeks, but the acting is great in here. I like seeing Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita doing what they do best, and they do work off each other very well. And Ralph Macchio does have some good chemistry with the actress that he's the woman he's falling for. What was it? Kamiko, I think it was. Yeah, Kamiko, played by Tamlin Tomita. I thought they had some good chemistry together. And even the climax is very good too. Like, something happens in the beginning of the movie where, Daniel doesn't have to go to these extreme levels like his opponent does, but he does what he learns from Mr. Miyagi, and I think that's pretty cool. Like, it works very well. It's a very good movie that does a good job of upping the ante on the action and the tension. I think they did a very good job of elevating this to another level overall. In a way, it's kind of like an equivalent to something like Rocky IV, except Rocky IV has a lot more flaws in terms of its script and also its way how it kind of, the differences between that movie and the original film. But this one is still a very enjoyable movie that has enough of it to make it enjoyable on its own merits. If there's any Karate Kid sequel you're going to watch, this is definitely the one to watch indeed. So, highly recommend The Karate Kid Part 2. So let's go ahead and move on to our last film we have here. We only have two films, and that is Robert Redford, Deborah Winger, and Daryl Hannah starring in Ivan Reitman's Legal Eagles.
Does the defense wish to engage in oral argument?
Yes,
we don't,
we
Your
do.
Honor.
Yes,
We-
we do.
British? No, we don't.
Of course.
No, we don't.
When a prosecutor and a defense attorney team up to solve the murder case of the year, there isn't a law, a rule, or a heart that won't be broken. Universal Pictures presents
Are you going to sleep with our client again? She's a very attractive young girl.
Extremely attractive.
I did not say extremely. I said just attractive.
Extremely.
Robert Redford,
Hey! What the hell are you doing over there? I'm breaking into my car!
Deborah Winger,
If we go through that door, it's called breaking and entering.
No, it's not breaking. It's just entering.
Daryl Hannah,
I didn't kill Taft. It's going to take a lot of work to convince the jury of that.
in the new film from Ivan Reitman, the director of Ghostbusters, Legal Eagles. You'll want them on your side this summer. Legal Eagles.
I think you got everything here. Everything seems to be in order. And
So yeah, this is a very weird movie for Ivan Reitman to follow up Ghostbusters with, and we'll touch on the production history on this because it's very fascinating, especially considering that this cost more than Ghostbusters did. And you don't, and you look at the trailer and you think to yourself, how can that possibly be? Well, again, we'll touch on that in a little bit here, but you have Robert Redford as District Attorney Tom Logan, who's set for higher office, at least still until he becomes involved with a defense lawyer, Laura Kelly, played by Deborah Winger, and her unpredictable client, Chelsea Dearden, played by Daryl Hannah. It seems the least of Chelsea's crimes is the theft of a very valuable painting, but as the woman persuades Logan to investigate further and to cut some official corners, a much more sinister scenario starts to emerge. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the production history behind this, because it is very interesting, because this was originally intended to be a vehicle for Dustin Hoffman and Bill Murray. And then Murray passed, and so Ivan Reitman went to Robert Redford and mentioned this movie, and he expressed interest in doing a comedy. And we worked it into kind of a Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn type of a movie, and Redford basically agreed to make it. So, as Reitman said, it was easier getting Redford than it was getting Bill Murray. But then again, Bill Murray was kind of on that career holdover because of his last movie, The Razor's Edge, not doing well, which is a good movie. We'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah. But here's the thing, though. I think because there were so many more stars in this movie and the pay was much higher, the budget for this movie blossomed up to $30 million, and it was actually one of the most expensive movies made at that point, which is hard to believe, because you look at this movie and it's just kind of like, there's really nothing about this movie that should scream out the most expensive movie made at that point. I mean, Ghostbusters' budget was $25 million. Look at what Ghostbusters did with a $25 million budget, and look at what this movie does with a budget between $30 and $40 million. I mean, it's weird, man. It's an odd movie, but I guess you probably want to know what I feel what I feel about the movie, and that's why you're here. But honestly, I can't really get a good grasp on it, because I like it. I think Robert Redford, Deborah Winger, and Daryl Hannah do work off each other very well, but it's just everything else around it is kind of weird. Like, it feels like you're watching the pilot episode of a TV pilot. Like, this would be something that would be seen on NBC, CBS, ABC around that time. And again, for Ivan Reitman to follow this up after Ghostbusters, like, I mean, it's really weird that he would go from Ghostbusters to something like this. And like I said, everybody's playing their parts very well here. The actors are really good here. The chemistry between Redford and Winger and Hannah are very good. And I'll tell you, Deborah Winger looks pretty good wearing the suit and tie. Like, I mean, like, you don't really think about that, but honestly, yeah, she looks pretty good wearing that. And so does Daryl Hannah. I mean, this is probably the second hottest I've ever seen Daryl Hannah in anything. The other being Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which is another movie that is very similar to something like this. I like some of it, but there's a lot of it I really don't like. And yeah, there's definitely some elements here. I think the story is all over the place, and the tonal shifts, the mood of what they're trying to accomplish, I think is very misleading here. And I mean, this is written by Jim Cash and Jack Epps Jr., and you may not know those names in particular, but they had just had a big hit a couple weeks ago with Top Gun, which again we'll get to, but then they followed it up with The Secret of My Success, which is another one of those comedies where it feels really odd, especially considering that Michael J. Fox is basically having an affair with his aunt in that movie. So take that for what you will, but I don't know, man. Like, I'm very conflicted on this movie here. I'll give him credit, but I'll give Ivan credit for trying to do something very different, especially after a hard project like Ghostbusters, but At the same time, though, it really doesn't feel like it has that same oomph that Ivan Reitman's lesser-budgeted comedies do. Like, you think of, you know, the movie that he would make, movies he would make after this, like Twins, Kindergarten Cop, Dave, you know, even something as bad as Father's Day, or, you know, No Strings Attached, which is probably, and Draft Date, some good movies there, but, I mean, yeah, it's a really odd film. I can't say it's a bad movie, nor can I really say it's a good movie either. It's kind of in the middle. It's a film where it's just like, I could see where they're coming from, I could see what he was trying to accomplish here, but there are times when the jokes can be funny. There are some good one-liners. Mostly you saw in the trailer. Like I like that. Like I like the whole thing about, you know, Deborah Winger basically telling Robert Redford, "You're not going to try to sleep with our client. She's very attractive." And Robert Redford's just like extremely attractive. And Deborah Winger's just like, you know, I didn't say I didn't say extremely attractive. I said just attractive. And Robert was like extremely. That the scene where he's trying to break into his car. Like there are some good one-liners here, but not enough for me to say a movie I would recommend. I would only recommend it if you want to see all of Ivan Reitman's filmography, and this isn't going to be one of the worst movies you see from him. I mean, like I said, Junior, Father's Day, those are some of the worst movies that I think Ivan Reitman has done as a director. Evolution, this, it's just kind of in the middle. It's just a movie where it's just like, it's not bad, it's not great either, it's just kind of in the middle overall. I give him credit for trying something different, but yeah, I'm pretty sure after Ghostbusters, this was not what people were probably expecting from the same man who made one of the biggest hits of all time at that point. Come to think of it, I think... Well, Ghostbusters technically was the biggest hit at that time until Beverly Hills Cop took it over, and then I guess with a re-release the following year, Ghostbusters kind of went back up on that, but I'd have to double-check on that, but anyway, that's Legal Eagles for you. So with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and we'll take a look at Time About the Movies Flashback. I'm sorry, I think I'm on the original show, but that's going to wrap up Time About the Movies Flashback. Next week, we have a couple of memorable movies. In fact, most of them are memorable movies. Rodney Dangerfield starring in the comedy Back to School. Matthew Broderick starring in the John Hughes classic Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We have The Manhattan Project. And also Bob Hoskins in one of his movies that kind of branched him out into the role that would eventually lead him to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Mona Lisa. So we'll take a look at those 4 movies. That'll be coming up next week here on the show, so stay tuned for that. But that's it. With all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe button, notification button, and check out some of the other videos we've done, as well as our playlists over here, and then our previous episode here. No, the playlist is over here. Previous episode's there. I realize this is basically mirrored right now, but yeah. Either way, it's going to be here, so it'll be here when the title card comes up here. So, with all that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Till then, take care.